Lucia, Johannan Dujon, founder of All Gas Organics, the Caribbean's first indigenous agriculture biotech firm aimed at alleviating the sargassum seaweed invasion, has landed himself on the Forbes 30 Under 30 in Manufacturing and Industry list. The prestigious accolade was highlighted and praised by members of the National Youth Council during their bi-monthly press brief.
Groundbreaking innovation has landed founder of Algas Organics, Johannan Dujon, on the Forbes 30 Under 30 in Manufacturing and Industry list. The annual Forbes 30 Under 30 list brings together a collection of 600 trendsetters from 20 industries who are meticulously chosen by skilled reporters and expert judges. For his role, Dujon has pioneered the region's first agricultural biotech firm that fights sargassum seaweed. The noxious-smelling invasive seaweed threatens to cripple the Caribbean region, heavily reliant on tourism. However, Algas Organics has been making strides in alleviating the problem. President of the National Youth Council, Nias Alfred, has recognized the achievement of Dujon and commends his continued efforts, as well as his recent tribute received by global media company Forbes.
We also want to commend Mr. Johannan Dujon. Dujon, of course, is the founder of Algas Organics, a biotech company here in St. Lucia, and he has been making big strides in terms of finding a solution to the sargassum problem that we have in St. Lucia. And good news came in this morning where Johannan was listed on the Forbes 30 Under 30 Young Entrepreneurs. So that is indeed a very remarkable achievement for a young St. Lucian who has been making great strides in the field of entrepreneurship and biotechnology. So congratulations to Johannan, and we do hope that will serve as encouragement to young people to keep striving, or for young St. Lucians to keep striving no matter what their interests are.
Forbes Outlook projects Algas Organics could reach $2 million in revenue in 2020. The company has been functional since 2015 and has processed over 2 million pounds of sargassum seaweed into organic fungicides, fertilizers, and pesticides. Dujon's efforts have also been lauded by Prime Minister Alan Chastanet for his entrepreneurial skills, foresight, and overall contribution to the betterment of St. Lucia. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solange Alfred.
Grand Jean, who redirected conversation on police violence when he embraced the ex-Dallas police officer who killed his brother Botham Jean, accepted an Ethical Courage Award from a law enforcement organization Tuesday, but not without reservations. From the podium at the ceremony, Grand Jean said, quote, "I want you all to know that I am not a threat, that young black males are not inherently dangerous or criminal. Most importantly, I ask that you remember my brother, my example of ethical leadership, a young black male that was perceived as a threat by one of your own. And when you remember him, I want you to ask yourself what you are doing to ensure that there will be no other families like mine, no other little brothers that have to model ethical leadership in forgiveness of a cop whose lack of training and discipline caused them to carelessly take the life of another. I don't want police officers to continue doing this," end quote. After the award ceremony, Brand Jean said, quote, "I think you can see it's not healthy, especially for the black community, black males specifically. We don't want this to happen again," end quote. Veteran journalist Earl Bousquet is exploring the unrest taking over sister nation Dominica in the run-up to their December 6 general elections. Bousquet says this level of political tension in Dominica is unheard of, and he believes he knows exactly who is behind it all. Rochelle Gonzalez tells us more.
Speculation is being raised about the true and deep-rooted reason behind the unrest taking place in sister nation Dominica in the run-up to their next general election. Veteran journalist Earl Bousquet says the opposition is carrying out a campaign that includes elements that are new to Caribbean politics, including the introduction of xenophobia. Bousquet says this sort of behavior is unheard of.
In the case of Dominica, the Archbishop of Dominica, St. Lucia-born Archbishop Malze, was assaulted verbally and accosted publicly and challenged and accused of supporting the government simply because he will not get involved in the electoral politics during the final week of a campaign. The Cardinal, Dominica-born Kelvin Felix, returned home quickly to see what he could do to look about what's happening, and he was accosted by supporters of the opposition and, like Father Malze, accused of not doing or saying anything to indicate his opposition to the sins being committed by the government.
Busquets says since the announcement was made by Labour Party Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit that the elections would be held on Friday the 6th of December, the opposition, led by Lennox Linton, is doing all in its power to prevent this.
The opposition filed a motion in the high courts in Dominica calling for the elections to be postponed, but that was overruled yesterday by the High Court, which has pointed out the president, the president of Dominica has already called the election, so it cannot be called back 2 or 3 days before. Secondly, you have a situation where no election since 1978, when Dominica became independent, in no election, after no election, has there ever been an allegation of electoral fraud.
Busquets says where the current situation sees a PM going up for the 5th term, the opposition is resorting to underhanded tactics as they are aware of the strong possibility that they might lose.
The opposition has resorted to introduction of violence on the streets, use of setting fires near the airport, with taking advantage of the wind to send the smoke to prevent planes from landing. Fake news alarms, including one which said that Liat had suspended flights to Dominica, which Liat denied. Another one came out saying that the State Department had suspended all American flights to Dominica. That has not been confirmed. And the element of fake news, violence, use of fire, xenophobia, these are foreign elements, and it shows quite clearly that there are external hands at work in Dominica.
The external hand to which he refers is the Organization of American States, OAS. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez.
CEO of Domus Windows and Doors Limited, Terence Ott, is concerned that the countries of the region are not paying heed to calls to build smart and ensure resilience by building for climate change. The region is vulnerable to disaster, in particular storms during the annual hurricane season. Devastation has been brought to bear on countries of the Caribbean region, including St. Lucia, by Hurricane Thomas in 2010. Ott is spearheading an educational seminar focusing on new PVC windows and doors, particularly hurricane and security-resistant units. He says there is still a lot of work to be done to get the message of building for climate change across.
Well, I hear a lot of that. I went to the Clinton Foundation in Miami with Wild Bill and 1,000 of his closest friends, and they were talking about building better, but to be very honest, I don't see very much practically being done in the Caribbean to actually do that. A lot of the same issues that occurred in terms of the building methods are still being applied throughout the islands. And so we're going to talk about what causes building failure. In fact, a majority of the roofs go off because the windows and doors have failed. So we'll be going over that and explaining some of the mechanics.
Ott says once a storm hits, the strength of your windows and doors will be paramount. 3 things should be kept in mind as a necessity for windows and doors when building.
First of all, the glass itself has to have a very thick laminate in it, because in a hurricane you'll often have flying debris. When the debris hits the window, it knocks out the glass. As soon as the glass is knocked out, then the wind gets in and pressurizes the building and can blow the roof off, and also all the rain gets in and trashes things. So first of all, the laminate glass itself of the window or door must be strong enough to withstand those impacts. And there are tests to make sure that that happens. The second thing is that the glazing itself must be glued into the frame itself, because very often if you have a rubber gasket on your window or door, then that rubber gasket, as soon as the window is hit, it will pop out. And so it has almost no resistance to hurricane at all. The third thing is that the frame and the installation must be strong enough to stand up to wind pressures.
An added plus of strong windows and doors, he says, is that they ensure properties are secure.
if a window and door has good hurricane resistance, it also provides very high levels of security. And so at the seminar, we're going to ask someone to take a sledgehammer and see if they can get through the glazing on our window and knock it out.
The Dormers Windows and Doors Educational Seminar takes place at the Bay Gardens Resort on Wednesday. This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. There's more news coming up after the break.